Now, the things I will share in this video are very, very simple, very actionable, practical steps that you can take starting today to ensure that you clean up your finances and put yourself in a better financial position to insulate yourself against any unforeseen circumstances, as well as to put yourself in a situation where you become financially independent in the future if you so desire. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jumoke. I think that this is one of the most trying times we've had as a human race in a very, very long time. We literally went from the pandemic to the situation in Europe, Ukraine and Russia. And now we have a situation where a lot of tech companies, a lot of massive international companies and conglomerates are laying off workers in their thousands. I believe now more so than ever, it is very, very critical to get your financial health in a good state if it's not already in a good state. Now, as a disclaimer, I work within investment banking as a private wealth manager, which means that I manage wealth for ultra high net worth individuals and families across the world. However, I should say that nothing in this video constitutes investment advice. You should definitely seek investment advice from an investment professional who can really go through your personal circumstances and situations in order to give you the best and optimal quality solution that fits your particular wealth profile. Now, I won't mention the word budget in this video. I know some people don't really enjoy that word, and I can understand why. I think some people think that a budget is very restrictive and it's limiting. I can understand that if you are a spendthrift, like I used to be a very long time ago. But at the same time, a budget is actually a very, very important and very useful tool, financial tool, that helps you become more financially intelligent. It helps you develop a lot of personal discipline. I think it's something that when you get used to performing, you start to enjoy and you literally will never look back. So for those who might actually enjoy things like budgeting and might be interested in how I budget, I will talk about that in a separate video. But for today, I want to talk about 5 practical steps that you can take starting now to clean up your finances and put yourself in a better and healthier financial position. The first thing is to understand your income and your expenditure. So your income will encompass or will include everything you make, everything that's coming in, your inflows. So things like your salary, any interest payments you might receive from your banks in terms of your savings, if you have savings, any dividend payments you might get from your assets if you are invested in dividend paying stocks, for example, or maybe coupons you get from bonds or rentals as well. Anything that comes in as an inflow is income to you. That is money that you can spend or save or invest as you choose. You needn't have this figure to the second decimal place. It's just a rough idea. On the other side of that is understanding what your expenditure is. How much do you spend on things like your mortgage, your car payments, your student loans, on groceries, on transportation, on having fun, drinking, all of that. How much do you spend typically in a month? I actually find it's easier to start with your weekly expenditure, and then you can extrapolate that to find out how much on average you spend every month. Now, once you have those figures, it helps you understand what excesses you have. Your excess income is the difference between how much you make versus how much you spend. As simple as that. And with this income, you can do so many things. For some of us, we love to spend that. Others love to invest. Others love to save. The second point is to get rid of any subscriptions that you don't necessarily need at this point in time. I have been a Sky TV customer for over 12 years now, and I had the platinum status, which I very much loved, but did nothing for me. Over the last 3 years, I haven't really watched Sky TV because I was so busy at work and I really wasn't maximizing my Sky TV subscription. So what I decided to do last year, although it took me 8 months to actually cut off my Sky subscription, I decided to really take a look at the things that I wasn't really utilizing but were just leaving my account. So things like your Amazon subscription. Are you an avid Amazon user? If not, perhaps think about getting rid of that. That gym subscription that you've had for about 2 years but you never use because you never attend the gym, or maybe once or twice. Maybe you can exercise in the park instead, exercise at home. Do you really need to be spending £120 per month on a gym membership that you don't use? Magazine subscriptions that you might have, or food delivery subscriptions that you don't necessarily need at this point in time. Things like that you can think about cutting out. Tied into that point is a mental exercise, which is trying to rid yourself of things that cause you temptation to spend. This could include unsubscribing to certain emails where you receive them and you get tempted, or perhaps unsubscribing to channels that encourage you to spend. Personally, my Achilles heel was fashion channels. I absolutely adore fashion. I enjoy style, and I know that those channels really tempted me to spend. But at this point in time, I've gotten better control over my spending habits, and so they don't really trigger me as much as they used to. But for you, it might be a different scenario. So I would encourage you to think about removing from your space, from your mental space, from your physical space, anything that causes you to spend unnecessarily. Of course, go ahead and spend on the things you need to, but if these things encourage you to make impulse purchases, then you probably want to get rid of them. The next point is to think about reducing your debt. Now, debt is anything that is owed to someone else. So things like your mortgage payments or your car payments or your student loan payments, money that you've borrowed from someone. Think about reducing your debt. The reason for that is that your debt actually eats into your excesses or your income. Of course it does, because you have to service the debt over time. Now, when you have, let's say, $100,000 in debt, you are paying interest or an interest rate on that particular amount. In today's world, where we have excessively high interest rates relative to historical records, if you have an interest rate that is variable, it means that you're paying higher rates on that amount. So your debt hasn't increased from 100,000 to 200,000. In actuality, your debt might actually be worth less because of the time value of money as well as inflation. So you want to get rid of the debt as soon as possible by paying lump sums so that the monthly or the annually paid interest is lower, which means, of course, that if you're not paying as much as you used to on servicing the debt, you can use the additional or the excess funds and capital towards investing. And this is a beautiful segue into my next point, which is save first, save more than you spend. Now, one of the things that has really helped in my financial journey and has brought me to a very healthy financial position now, it's not the best, but it's very healthy relative to where I was 10 years ago, is that I paid myself first. When you pay yourself first, it means that any income you get, let's say your salary is paid and you make $100,000 a year, for example, you pay yourself first by saving a certain portion of that. So that's money that you won't touch, you won't spend it. And this is why understanding your income versus your expenditure is very important. But what I used to do was that from my net income, i.e. net of tax, I would save a portion of that to a separate account so I don't touch it. And whatever was left in my current account, that would be my expenditure cover for the month or the period of time over which I had to spend. And of course, if you want to grow your finances over time, you have to have more savings / investments than expenditure. Think about it. If you spend everything you make, there's nothing left over to grow over time. And finally, invest more than you save. Now, this is a very sensitive subject, I would say, because it really depends on your personal circumstances and your current financial situation. Some people are lucky enough to earn enough that covers their expenditure and have quite a bit left over to save or invest. Some people are not. But I think this is a practice that everyone can start. You can start with £10 a month. You can start with £100 a month, whatever it is you have in your possession, because over time, the effect of compounding, again, for a different video, the effect of compounding will ensure that that £100 or dollars becomes 500, 1,000, etc., etc. And that can be only done through investing and not saving in cash. We are currently in a high interest rate environment, and this is good for savers. But the thing is, over time, you need to think about the impact on your wealth. The reason we have high interest rates at the moment is because we have a huge surge in inflation, and the consensus out there is that we have reached the peak or possibly are approaching the peak of inflation. That means that over time, interest rates won't stay elevated ad infinitum. They eventually will adjust according to the rate of inflation, which also means that you won't always earn these higher or slightly higher interest rates as time goes on. So investing in an asset in the stock market, property markets, bond markets, alternative investments, whatever it might be, to ensure that your assets have the opportunity to grow over time and compound on themselves is very critical. And that really is how wealth is built. Wealth isn't built from savings. I'm sorry to say, it's built from investing. So I hope this video has been helpful for someone. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a comment below, click that like button, also subscribe to the channel because we will be discussing more personal finance, money matters, and self-development issues. And I hope to see you in my next video.